To begin the name design, you're going to go into your Google Drive and you're going to begin a new Google Drawings. Okay, and I've done these other ones here. So I did my first name, did my last name. This was one that had a couple more letters. And for this one, I'm going to do my daughter's name. All right, so you need to do your first name or your last name, fully spelled out, no, uh, nicknames or anything like that. And um, you want to choose some kind of color to work with. So you don't have to choose a color scheme. It just has to be one particular color that you're going to kind of choose as your main color for this whole project. You want to do a background. You can either do, so I'm going to right click and I bring up this menu and you can either do a solid background or you can do a gradient background. That's your choice. But you don't want to do something custom, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. So I'm going to just pick a solid background for mine, and her name is Sage. I'm going to do Sage, so I'll pick a green color for that. And then the first thing you want to do is you want to choose an image from Search the Web in your chosen kind of color scheme. So I'm just gonna, you could do green designs, whatever color you want, green patterns. If you're doing red, you type in like red designs or red patterns. Okay, and it could have other colors in it. So like this one up here that has the purple. That's totally fine. I'm gonna use that one. Okay, and her first letter is an S. So I want to go to my mask tool, which is right here. So I'm going to drop down and I'm going to see what shapes I can use to make an S. So I could have two circles and I could kind of cut out parts of those. I'll show you that in a second. I could also use this moon shape and I could have two of those. So I think I'm going to do that because I think that would be more interesting. So I'm going to shrink this down. And if you move the corners, you can move the shape proportionately. You don't have to do that. If you wanted to, just kind of shrink it down like this, you could do that as well, or enlarge it. All right, and I'm going to copy this shape and paste it and just rotate it in order to get the bottom of the S. So copy, paste. I'm just going to put it right here. All right, so that looks like an S. I'm pretty happy with that. If you notice this little kind of these three little lines in the corner here, this is going to enlarge your workspace. So if you need to make your space longer for a longer name, or for, your letters are going to be a little bit larger, you can, alter the space as needed. I'm going to bring this up a little bit because I don't need my space to be as wide as it is, but I want it to still have some room for all my letters. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is something called group. So if I wanted to move this letter later on as one form, I could do that without having to move like one moon shape and then another moon shape. So I'm going to click on the first shape. I'm going to hit Control and click on the second one. So now this is all encompassed, and I'm going to arrange and group. All right, so now these two pieces are connected. Right, so if I wanted to adjust them, I can adjust them as a unit instead of as two separate shapes. So that's going to be really key for kind of like, moving things around later on when you're all said and done. You could kind of even like slant it a little bit if you want to kind of make it a little bit more fun. If you want to do your outlining, on your shapes. It's up to you. Right now, this has no outline on this shape, which I like because I'm combining two shapes. But if you wanted to outline, you could, and you would just click on your shapes, and then you would go to the line tool, and you could choose like something like that and have, you know, an outline on it. Now remember, it's going to outline each shape individually. So if you don't want that to kind of stand out, then don't do an outline. So I'm just going to go to my color, and I'm just going to choose transparent instead. And then that will leave me with no outline. And as far as the letters go, you can do capital or lowercase, whatever is kind of easier for you to create from your shapes. So, you know, as long as your name is legible, I'm okay with that. All right, so I'm going to look for my next image. And I'm still in my green designs. Pick something, pick that. Okay, and this shows up like this. So now I want to make an A. So what I've been using for the A is shapes. A triangle. Kind of shrink that down. I can make it thinner. Can make it elongated. Now this is just the way that I'm making my letters. If you have an alternative way of doing it, that's completely fine. All right, and then what I do is I actually insert another shape. So I'm just going to go to the insert shapes. I'm going to pick that same triangle. I'm going to put it right here. So I want it a little higher because I'm going to bring it down. And this is what I was talking about for the background, why you don't want to make something super fancy. So I'm going to fill this smaller triangle with my same background color that I had chosen for the first background, which was this light green. Actually, it was, I think, one shade darker. There we go. All right, and so now it's going to look like it's just part of the background. And if I don't outline and have a transparent border, it disappears, like the edges disappear. So I still want the shape across the A, like kind of that bar that goes across. So I'm going to go back to my pattern, which it should still be highlighted, hopefully. Go. Okay, and I want it to be a rectangle, so I'm just going to bring this up. Oh, one thing you can see, some of the patterns look a little bit squished if you crop the image. So you can either do what I'm doing, where I'm literally just kind of moving the border, or let me go back. You could do something, you could actually crop it, and that will kind of preserve the integrity of the pattern, and it won't look all like smushed. This one's not showing itself to be too smushed, but some of them get like kind of tight and it just looks a little bit awkward. So if you want to, you know, prevent that from happening, just use the crop tool instead of just the sidebars. I'm going to press enter. And now I want to just kind of shrink this down. All right, so I have my A. Now, same thing, I'm going to make sure I have everything clicked on, and then I'm going to go to arrange and group. Oh. Up to my triangle there. I think I forgot to click on it, that's why. Bring that back down. There are some, let me here, fun shapes too. So even like for the crossbar on the A, I could do something, like this, like kind of this wave. And then I could kind of like turn it just to give it a little bit more energy. And I want to change the outline. I don't know why that's not going away. So only one is there. Okay, so now the interior triangle is clicked on. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on the A. And now I'm going to group it all. Now if I wanted to move this, I can move it behind the S. I can move it in front of the S. If you want to move it behind the S, I'd make sure the whole shape was clicked. And then I would go to Order, Send to Back. And you can see that the S is now in front of the A. All right, so next letter is G. All right, so what am I going to use for a G? Let's see here. Shapes. I could do the Pac-Man and then add a crossbar across that. I could do this one and then make a curved tail. So I think I'll do a lowercase g. All right, I'm going to put a circle in the center of that. Change that to the background color. Make sure it's not outlined. All right, and now I need a tail for the G. So let's see here. I'm going to go back to my pattern. I need something that I can do for a tail. Actually, that might work. I want to be that small. There we go. So it kind of looks like a fancy lowercase g. So I'm going to group all this. And then I can kind of play with the proportion of this. So I do want to scale this down a little bit because I think it's kind of big. All right, and then last but not least, the E. So I could almost use this same kind of like Pac-Man shape to make the E. So I think I'll do that, and then, but you could just do three, a bar for the back of the E if you want to do an uppercase E, and then three bars, pointing to the right. So we'll move that to there. And then insert another cutout. This one will work. Change that so it all fits. I'm going to group this. And kind of bring this down a little bit. And give it a little tilt. Okay, so that is one way to create your name design. When you're done, you're going to download it as a JPEG or a PNG, and then you can upload the picture file. So I'll put the sample ones on Google Classroom so you can see, but any combination of these shapes would make various letters, and somebody might have this way of making an E, someone might think of another way to make an E or a G or an A. I'm fine with kind of whatever you come up with, as long as the name is legible when your project is completed.